Good afternoon, Bitcoiners. Welcome back to BitcoinCenter live stream number 37.
Please hit like and subscribe. Brought to you by Byte Federal. Check out all of our great products. We are one of the largest and first Bitcoin ATM networks in the United States. We have a point of sale system. We have 2 wallets, actually. We have a new digital on-ramp for you to buy Bitcoin. And we also have a non-custodial wallet that you can use to hold your own keys. And more exciting things coming down the pipeline soon.
That's awesome. I think Paul's a run for his money here, trying to keep that seat.
Yeah, it's great to be here again with you, Cedric.
Yeah, it's awesome to see you again. I saw you this weekend at Bitcoin Day Naples.
It was a great event.
That was a great event, but you just brought something up that I didn't hear about, so it sounds unfortunate. What happened?
So Gloria, I don't ever know how to Zhao, one of the primary lead Bitcoin Core maintainers, her Twitter account got hacked. And so I think there was a really anticlimactic. I was not impressed with the response. You know, obviously everything gets political and people are taking sides, but all the pro core people were sort of just like, oh, just don't click the link. And I don't think that that is an appropriate response. I think if you are in charge of a $2 trillion asset, you know, you're one of 5 people who has access to that asset, you need to take your security setup a little more seriously. And if something does go wrong, I mean, there should be an apology. There should be an explanation of what has happened, what is happening in terms of securing her entire digital life, including her access to Bitcoin. They should revoke her keys until we're certain that whoever hacked her account doesn't have access to other profiles. I mean, I just think that it's a pretty serious thing. It should be taken more seriously. And it was just, I asked you right before we went live, oh, did you know about this? And I don't think you'd even heard of it.
No, I mean, is this a truly recent thing, today? Or
I don't know if it was today or I think it was maybe yesterday.
Wow. I mean, that's really unfortunate. I think part of this is how personal this has become and not about ideas. And I think on some level, I think this points to that we're going to have to take humans out of this process. Really hard to work on this publicly in some ways.
Yeah, I agree.
But also that the decisions and the impact and the unknown second and third order effects and of working on 700,000 lines of code is going to be near impossible for one human to understand what their code would do on all the other lines of code. You can't have one human review that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there should absolutely be more people involved.
I think it's going to be, to be honest, AI. I think we're going to move to a sort of some sort of new governance, but I think it would be AI that would write the code.
I totally disagree with that.
700,000 lines of code.
Absolutely no way.
And there'll be human intervention along the way and monitoring, but I think we're going to have to evolve in terms of how we.
No, I couldn't disagree with you more.
Actually, let's speak about Gloria. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no. Well, I agree with you. I mean, I don't necessarily fault her in she's a human. Everyone is susceptible to these things.
Tricky thing to secure.
Absolutely, but I just think it's not being taken seriously enough. You know what I mean? I just think it's another misstep. We saw everything that has happened, and then the disastrous bug that was deleting wallets, and now you have this. And I think it's just really emblematic of the problems with the way that Core is currently being governed, and it needs fixed. I mean, it's unacceptable.
Sure. I just don't think that we're going to go from one group of people to another group of people successfully. I think it's going to evolve, and I think we need to come up with new sort of a paradigm for governance over what is now a $2 trillion asset.
Yeah, I agree. And I have been an advocate really of having more stewards of the code and not developers, because I think that Bitcoin is incredible. Short of a couple of decisions that need to be made over the next 5 to 10 years, there's really not a lot that should be happening. This is not a hot new software project that we're continually developing. This is a $1 trillion asset that needs to be kept safe and secure.
Yeah, I really struggle with who should be working on it, how that should be funded. Should anyone be able to, how does a company appoint people to work on it, assign what to work on? How is that in any way building consensus, and how do we
Right.
come to consensus on what we should work on as
Right.
for humanity.
Agreed.
And how do we figure out who works on it?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know the answers to any
It's
of
a
these,
big topic. Yeah.
yeah, hopefully we'll get someone on the show who can help us with that. Maybe let's do the intro here and get into it. We got Hank Hudson coming on, talk about some spicy topics.
Let's be real, right? Praising Telegram for launching a Bitcoin wallet. I've always felt like with Haley,
Bitcoin, this digital currency that's out there that people say, oh, it might be the next big thing. What do you think?
I think it's rat poison.
Bitcoins. You never heard of them a few weeks ago? Now everybody's talking about them, but is it a currency?
I don't know. Or is it more like a stock? Or is it a tulip bulb?
Or is
We're
it
going to
just
debate that.
Stupid.
To me, it smells like Ponzi scheme and the greater fool theory, right?
if you do like 5 minutes of freaking research.
Well, okay, thanks for coming to my set talk.
Yes.
Don't buy shitcoins. Oh man, I always get that wrong. All right. Bitcoin's recent rally. Do you agree? Is crypto finally dead? Go to the next one.
Matter of fact, they're kind of in the Ethernet. What are they?
There's some rumors that it's this Japanese guy, but others say no, that he's a fake name. It was a pseudonym. I mean, you're literally putting real money onto a system that we don't even know who created it.
It will come to a bad ending.
Is this the most exciting bull run ever?
Not for me. No, it's not.
Welcome to BitcoinCenter, the fast-paced show where the debate is the story.
All right. I want to ask you the $1 trillion question. Is Stretch, STRC, is this Bitcoin's iPhone moment? What do you think?
No, I think that's silly. I also don't know that I'm the right person to ask.
I'll read this tweet from Rajat Soni.
Okay.
He thinks Stretch is designed to break the 4-year Bitcoin cycle. He goes on to explain there is a huge gap in capital markets. Everyone wants a short-term savings account with a high yield and low risk. But nobody offered a financial product that did this until 2025, and MSTR created Stretch to fill this gap. Stretch is short-term credit with guaranteed interest payments for over 2 years because MicroStrategy happens to have Strategy has $2 billion in fiat to pay the dividends. The best part, it currently pays an 11% yield. The next best product with a similar risk profile probably pays 3 to 5%. Strategy can create as many shares of Stretch as needed to fulfill the demand for low-risk, high-yield short-term credit. All proceeds from Stretch go to buying more Bitcoin to create more Bitcoin-backed credit products. When Bitcoin falls, holders sell and look for a place to park their cash. They should theoretically look for the savings vehicle that gives them the highest yield, and that savings vehicle is Stretch. Strategy can keep adding Bitcoin and fiat to its reserves to strengthen its position. Stretch will absorb tens of trillions of dollars of value from bonds and money market funds, and all of it will go into Bitcoin. This is Rajat's post.
Sure. It's a good analysis. So I think Bitcoin is the iPhone. And that sounds great, but that is all fiat Wall Street stuff. So this might be a fantastic vehicle for Wall Street, but I am an advocate of Bitcoin for Main Street. And so I don't really give a shit about all that.
I think it's a fascinating product.
It's interesting
Brilliant
for sure.
financial engineering.
Yes.
I still think I don't think I would move my mother's retirement account into all.
No.
And none of this is financial advice, but my point is, it's still sort of like when a brand comes out with a new car, and you don't want to buy the first year.
Sure.
And I'm not, again, it's not financial advice. It's a bad analogy, but my point is, like, over 30 years for someone to retire on, we have not seen the performance of this.
But this is different from the STY. There was another dividend paying.
So there's
a few
four
products.
Now,
okay.
right? And this one's considered the iPhone. So this pays 11%. It's
Where
supposed
does
to
that
maintain
yield
a
come
par
from?
of around
Where does
100.
11% come?
You could argue the yield's maybe coming from the common equity.
I don't know.
But what I want now, Strategy calls this, the layer one they see is digital capital, Bitcoin.
Right.
Layer 2 they see as digital credit, which is stretch,
Sure.
and then layer 3 is digital money.
Okay.
My only issue here is I see layer 1 as digital money Bitcoin.
Right.
And anything that we've really had problems with in our financial ecosystems come from credit. So that's my long-term concern here. Remains to be seen. This could be the thing society is looking for in terms of financial engineering around savings compared to fiat and stable coins. I think it remains to be seen. I'm excited for it.
My question is, why not just save in Bitcoin?
So the strategy argument, and is that institutions don't necessarily want exposure to spot Bitcoin.
That might be true.
Maybe they don't want the volatility.
Sure.
Maybe they're regulated out of exposure to that asset class.
So it's a Wall Street solution.
It's supposed to be designed for institutional grade appetite around credit.
So good for them. I'm happy for them.
Okay, I'm with you. All right, let's bring on Hank Hudson from Roxham TV's flagship show, The Blockchain.
Hey, guys.
How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. I love what you've done with the place. Thank you for having me on the show, guys. Super excited to be here.
Yeah, we put these up for you.
Oh, that's very kind and thoughtful of you. Yeah, I appreciate it.
It's good to see you.
Likewise.
I want to get into this. I'd love to hear your perspective on this particular clip from Brian Armstrong. So Francis, if you could play it first.
Got the Genius Act passed into law, which actually did enable stablecoin rewards to happen. The banks had their own concerns, and we reached a good outcome in the Genius Act. And now the banks really are coming and trying to undermine the president's crypto agenda. I mean, these are the same banks that debanked him and his family, right? And they want to come in and say that Americans should not be able to actually earn more money on their money. They're trying to protect their own profit margins, taking money out of the pockets of hardworking average Americans and putting it into the coffers of these big banks that are hitting record profits. And so our view is that there should be a level playing field where banks and crypto companies can lean into stablecoin legislation as an opportunity, and that includes paying rewards to Americans so that they can earn.
I can't wait to hear what you guys think about this. Hank, if you go first, what is your initial impression?
Yeah, my initial beat on this is this feels like a turf war over who gets to be the money middleman over the next decade, right? Like we've seen banks basically enjoy this kind of privileged position forever where they hold the deposits, they pay you basically nothing, and then they use that yield to earn, or they use that money to kind of earn yield somewhere else, right? And most people aren't noticing because the system has always kind of been like that. And then you got stable coins and some that can actually pay rewards, kind of shines a flashlight directly on that model. And I don't think banks are going to be too happy to see that because they want to earn this free money and allocate your money wherever else they want to. And I think Armstrong is saying that banks are lobbying to ban stablecoin rewards. But I really think he's just making an accusation that maybe sounds a little dramatic, but the motivation here is very normal, right? And it's protect the margins for the banks. And the political angle here, certainly matters too, because if Trump's administration is pitching itself as being pro-crypto, and you've got big banks quietly kind of trying to clip the wings on stable coins, that's not really a crypto story. We're looking at more of a power story here. So basically, it's like, do we modernize money or do we keep the old toll booths open? So to me, this is all about who's going to get paid for being in the middle in the future. That's my read on it.
I agree with Hank, with what Hank is saying, and I don't often agree with Brian Armstrong, but he's absolutely right. I mean, I agree it's a turf war, and I don't need to earn yield, but people do. People want to hold their money in stablecoins, and they should be allowed to. And I think it's totally nonsense that the banks are coming in and trying to take reign of the regulation. So I'm with Brian 100% on this.
I agree with both of you, but let me try to understand this like a 5-year-old. So the banks pay some yield on your deposits. It's been very little historically or lately. And stable coins, it seemed like weren't going to be able to do that at all. But is Brian Armstrong making a last-minute argument on behalf of consumers that stable coins should also be able to pay out a yield?
That's my understanding.
And then that yield would be a lot more than the banks or just people. And so people would less people would use the deposit products at the banks.
Well, it would create more of a free market, right? People could use whatever they want. Is it the Clarity, whatever this specific bill is, it was going to ban crypto companies or any companies from paying a reward on stablecoins. So, I mean, that's not a free market, right? Like,
do either one of you think Brian Armstrong or the side that wants stablecoins to be able to provide yield, it has any chance of winning this late in the game, or is this for show?
Didn't they already kind of establish this in the Genius Act? So wouldn't this be kind of like repealing part of that only months after the fact?
You're right. The Genius Act sort of laid this out, right? That stable coins did not provide yield, that they had to be on U.S. regulated, they had to buy treasuries. And I thought this is why JP Morgan was rolling out the deposit coin. It's a deposit token. That's what they're calling there. So you could, and I think also this goes to fractional reserves. So we have hypothetication. So the deposits, if they use a deposit token, they could provide the yield, and it was going to be no yield on stablecoins, but also then the deposit tokens could still be rehypothecated, whereas it's hard to rehypothecate the stablecoin deposits. And this does but I thought this was settled a while ago. This seems like a major holdup this late in the game, and I kind of like it that they're not. I think anything to slow them down is good.
I agree completely.
Except if I think maybe as an American citizen, and you could say the borders are fake, and that's not, but I live here, and they could put me in jail. So as an American citizen, don't I want them to roll out our surveillance stablecoin first and benefit from everything that they think will come with that? Maybe I think it's better as a Bitcoiner that they don't go fast and that there's all this lack of clarity and we're not first out of the gate. But I thought they were in a rush. I thought that they'd already agreed on this. I think it's a good argument Brian Armstrong's making. If you look at this from the consumer's perspective, I don't know.
I think slow and steady wins the race on this one, right, guys? I mean, this is not too different from the Bitcoin strategic Bitcoin reserve, and that I know we're going to be talking about in just a bit. Like, you got to get this right the first time, because we're going to have the world looking at us specifically with the reserve. Like, how is this going to get done? What are the rails that are in place, and how can people copy that going forward? So, I think this is one of those you can't rush, even though I think a lot of us would like answers sooner rather than later.
I'd be blown away if they allow stablecoins at this point to allow yield or provide yield, however they do it. That will change my worldview a little bit about everything that's happened.
I hope they do.
I would really think that because I do think that's a little bit more of a free market, like you were saying. But also, does it further entrap people on better financial surveillance than the deposit tokens would be?
Well, that's a good question. I think it's all going to be surveilled, though. I don't think you're stopping the surveillance state.
Right.
So let's at least do away with the communist banking.
Right. Yeah, I would be blown away if they can do away with the communist banking.
Fight. It's a big fight.
That's interesting. All right, let's move on to the next one. Let's talk about the SBR here. Maybe we could play the clip first from the White House.
We've had good engagement from the DCOSP team, which is Stephen Miller's team, that kind of, make sure that all of the executive orders that have been signed by the president, that the agencies are moving out on them, making good progress. The Treasury team, Commerce team is involved. That one it's interesting. It seems straightforward, but then you get into some, obscure legal provisions and why this agency can't do it, but actually this agency could. So we're continuing to push on that. It is certainly still on the priority list right now. And I think with some of the latest, kind of developments and things that we've learned and engagement from general counsels and different agencies, DOJ, OLC, for example, that's kind of the Supreme Court within the administration has provided some good guidance on where we can move out on this executive order of the president's and do so in a legally sound way. So,
Hank, what do you think? Are the United States government ever going to buy Bitcoin?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, here's the thing, right? They're taking their time. And I think we had expectations that Trump was going to announce strategic Bitcoin reserve. And all of a sudden, the United States was going to be finding ways, neutral, budget neutral otherwise, to acquire more rather than just the seized and the forfeitures that we currently have, right? But you don't build the runway for planes unless you expect more planes to eventually land there. And kind of as I mentioned previously in the last story, like, you got to get this right, because the entire world is looking at the United States to likely be the first real power mover to have their own strategic Bitcoin reserve. And we're trying to integrate a new asset class into kind of a legacy financial system that wasn't necessarily built for that. So yeah, it'd be great if we saw this happen sooner than we have so far. But like, this is something that, again, you got to get right the first time. And they're in a lot of uncharted territories here, and figuring out how to weave Bitcoin into the current financial frameworks is going to take time. So like, yeah, it's taking longer than expected, but this in no way changes my thought that eventually there will be a strategic Bitcoin reserve here in the United States. And I do think at some point we will actively start acquiring it as well.
I think it's all for show. I think we're probably already acquiring. I think whatever this is, whatever's happening, it's just the show. And that we're not going to know for a long time, if ever, exactly how this played out. But if you fast forward 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, the United States will have a strategic Bitcoin reserve. And I don't know that we'll ever know exactly where the Bitcoin came from or sort of what the moving chess pieces were. Because look, if you're doing something this big, are you honest about it? I mean, they're not honest about anything. Why would they be honest about this?
True.
This is interesting. So if the United States government doesn't have Bitcoin through purchases yet, or some sort of acquisition that we don't know about, I would, my line of thinking is they've never revalued the gold.
Yes.
So why would they go buy Bitcoin and have an asset that they don't care if it goes up in price and that they can't sell? So part of me says they'll never buy. But if they've been acquiring all along at different vintages, let's say even going back to 2010, then I could see them being like, yeah, we have 900,000 Bitcoin on our balance sheet, and we value them at nothing.
Right.
And we're not going to change that, but we have it now, and we're not going to sell. And so I don't know if they've already been acquiring. That'd be really, and would they ever, if they were acquiring, could they ever reveal themselves as the wallets that we all thought were Satoshis?
Now that one I don't know.
They're,
right.
Acquiring.
I like to think not, but it's certainly a possibility. I mean,
I think it's definitely.
Why do you guys think they would lie about maybe already them being actively acquiring? Is that to gain some kind of additional first mover advantage and literally stacking their bags before they come out and say it, and then the inevitable digital gold rush begins? Like, I'm trying to understand why they would do that.
I think even just what you've laid out for hiding your first mover advantage, and if you see it as a truly important strategic asset, there's always other things going on behind the scenes. You don't necessarily want to lay out your playbook and put all your cards on the table, especially with something that could be, so geopolitically important. We've seen all kinds of stuff happening in China in regards to like Bitcoin being banned. And, I think if Bitcoin is as serious of an asset class as like we all believe it to be, you wouldn't want anyone to know what you were doing.
Yeah. I guess if you found a gold mine, you don't want to tell people where it is, right?
Yeah.
The only way I think they would not be sneaky about it if there was some sort of multilateral process that's being negotiated right now that they would want to announce a multilateral agreement, like say the G7. We are and maybe one or two of those nations was allowed to acquire some before, but they maybe agreed no one would get first mover advantage when they move to a new monetary system. But I just don't put my money on that one.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't they be acquiring? They've known about this since 2010 when Gavin brought it to them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, you could put out $100,000. They invest in everything in this country that could be interesting. I also think they probably designed and created Bitcoin.
I know you think that.
You think the government did?
My rational, not the part that made me a Bitcoiner, and I hold on to that.
Well, look, DARPA created the internet, and here we are.
And Facebook.
Right. So
and probably Netflix.
All of it.
I think they seeded. I think they invest in these things.
They do.
I think that they designed it to be possibly. I'm saying potentially. If I was to sort of pontificate, I think they designed it to be a heat sink for credit and debt, and that they gamed out the problems fiat and the dollar were going to have, and if they can control all the on and off ramps, and they can sort of control and do the best they can to prevent or prohibit self-custody and any sort of financial privacy on that ledger.
Yeah.
This is a great thing for them.
Well,
I think
historically, look at the people that they've really gone after. It's always the proponents of the privacy aspect.
100%.
It's always the people, the libertarians preaching Bitcoin. If you talk about the price of Bitcoin and number go up, you are safe.
Right.
So there's something there.
And the brightest minds in Bitcoin work on tokenizing real world assets and moving the dollar around on layer 2.
Right.
And you just wonder, why aren't they hard? Especially if they were early enough, you'd say they could work on anything they want because it's purely altruistic. And yeah, I don't know.
Does the fact that that could be the case, but Bitcoin's supposed to be transparent, it's on the blockchain, you can check all of it, but all these things are seemingly happening behind closed doors. Does that kind of go against the whole thing? Maybe it doesn't even matter at this point. Because part of me is worried about maybe Bitcoin being co-opted by big governments. It's hard to say with institutions, but
created. I mean, it's hard not to think they're not trying to co-opt it now.
Yeah,
I'd like to think that Bitcoin, I'd like to think Bitcoin is invincible, but I think the part of the invincible part is if humans continue to enhance it in the right ways. Which is not a guarantee. Just like the internet didn't bring total freedom to the users of the internet. I think increased freedom, but I also think it's starting to tilt where it's dramatically increased the deployment of propaganda and the centralization of information. And they figured out how to sort of tame it and sort of corral it. And they created the internet.
Yeah, they did.
It wasn't a gift from God in that sense.
Yeah. And they were heavily involved, as regulation unfolded through the early 2000s and mid 2000s. And they had offices in all the ISPs. And, why would they not be doing the same thing?
You can point to well-versed technically, people like Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, Ross Ulbricht. None of them were able to avoid detection from the state.
Right.
It's really hard to imagine or fathom someone being able to create something like Bitcoin and actually avoid detection from the state, unless the state pretended to go along with that or protected that person or people. I don't know. That's what my rational brain says.
You're really sucking the romance out of Bitcoin for me here, Cedric. I gotta say.
The most exciting thing is maybe as an American, you'd want your team, as if you're thinking Team America, wouldn't you want America to have been at least said? Gavin brought us this thing, and if we just we owe it to ourselves to follow all technology in the world, and let's partake in the network so we understand it, and let's keep the coins we mint for free here, basically. And then they can seize coins. So if they do decide to catch up, they might have seized the coins from Venezuela. Maybe
what is going on with that?
One rumor I heard was someone from America, one of the 3-letter agencies, helped with the architecture of the custodianship of those coins from the beginning.
So we just have.
So I don't know. And then who knows if Maduro's always been a protected asset?
Right.
You could say the same maybe question about El Salvador, but we've shown even if they're not friendly or allies or they're doing this for us, that we can take things, including other sovereign nations' Bitcoin, if they don't know how to protect it or if they use Coinbase.
Yes.
Right. So if we're not out ahead, I would think they're either going to buy Bitcoin or continue to confiscate. I'm not necessarily a fan of the confiscation part. I mean, if it's confiscating, and then we should be returning it to the people that suffered an injustice, I would think.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. That's definitely the nicer way to do it.
Hank, it's always great catching up with you. I'll leave it to you for any parting words. Let us know where we could find you. I love the show. I come on every 2 weeks. The blockchain.
You do. Yeah. No, it's so great having you. We certainly appreciate it. I'm at Roxham TV. Now I'm at Roxham TV News. I host a show 5 days a week, 10 a.m. Pacific time Mondays, 8 a.m. the rest of the week. It's 2 hours. We have amazing stewards of the space like yourself, Cedric, on all the time, talking Bitcoin and world news and trying to, give people the world through more of a Bitcoin lens. Because as you know, we all see that's kind of the way that things are moving right now. And we're so appreciative of all of the experts we get to have on like yourself. And it was a real treat to getting to come into your house and hang out with you here. So thank you so much for the invite today. It was a lot of fun. I really appreciate it.
Awesome, man. It's always good to see you. Thanks so much. Can't wait.
Thank you so much, guys. Enjoy the rest of your show. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Hank. Well, this is off to such a positive start today, isn't it, Cedric?
I think that... okay.
It's all right. Let's talk about Saylor.
I think what's positive about it is we have that battle still at hand. Like I hope I'm wrong about battle. Everything. We're in the battle.
We're in the battle, so it's not lost.
A lot of people are being numbed to sleep.
Yeah.
Because to win the battle, I do think it's going to take actual effort and action.
I agree.
In all different sorts of ways.
Right.
And I'm not sure people really care right now.
Yeah, I'm black-pilled on that. I agree. Not enough people care, and it pisses me off. But we lived through COVID, and all these people didn't care, so I can't say that I have that much optimism. But what I will say is it makes me extremely grateful for people like you and Paul and everybody else in Bitcoin that do care.
Yeah, I would appreciate that. No, I'm doing that thing where you're thinking about what you're going to say next. So, I mean, oh man, I saw this clip from Edward Dowd. I'm not too familiar with him. He's an economist, I think.
Okay.
There's a little bit of a, I don't know how to describe it. I don't know him that well, but it was a really interesting point that he made. And he was alluding to that the stock market's at all-time high valuations.
Right.
And there's only 7 companies that are driving that.
And they're sort of intermingling and going back and forth.
Right. But and the market is excited and enthusiastic about these companies that all happen to be creating and designing and deploying our dystopic panopticon.
Oh, yeah.
It's like we are investing in our own dystopian future. And not you in maybe particular, but
not me.
American society through their 401ks
the economy,
and the economy.
Yes.
And that's really twisted to think of that.
Super. But like, would you expect anything less?
Yes, I was hoping and expecting. I was hoping. I want to see more optimistic signs. I think and I don't think that is an optimistic sign.
No.
That people are handing over their life force to say, build my digital prison. They're not investing in these companies maybe that build better shoes. Or things that protect you from all the bad things in the atmosphere or better food. The most thing people are excited about are AI, which is, I think, in its current form and way is all dystopic.
Very. I'm a proponent of getting offline. I'm transitioning my home back to, you may remember this from like the late 90s. I'm going to have a computer room where I have a hardwired Ethernet connection, and that's the only device that you'll be able to use to access the internet. And that's my plan.
I think a lot of people are going to go analog.
I think so. And I think there is a pushback from the younger generations. We're seeing them reject social media, reject the cell phone addiction, and get out into the real world and go offline. They're doing like IRL events, and that gives me hope. I think this cheering on of the fake economy and us building our own AI dystopian future, I think that's a bubble that will crash, and a lot of people will end up in collateral damage. It'll be a lot of collateral damage, but we will sort of like rise from the ashes of that. And I think,
I mean, that's exciting to hear.
Right.
And I wish I heard more, because that's maybe people who don't have even 30 grand in their 401k. And I would love to hear stories about people who are like, we just drained our 401k to do everything you said, to build the computer room,
buy Bitcoin,
to go analog, to buy Bitcoin, to opt out.
Totally get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So please hit like and subscribe. This is Bitcoin Center, brought to you by Byte Federal.
Byte Federal, one of the largest, one of the earliest Bitcoin ATM networks. We are holding the hard line on the cash economy or still allowed to use cash. It is not illegal yet. We also have a digital on-ramp and a non-custodial wallet. Check us out at bytefederal.com and on all of your social medias.
Yeah. Well, Francis, cue up the clip. So we at Bitcoin Day, the big topic that kept coming up spontaneously and emerging was the Danny Knowles,
that's right,
Michael Saylor, What Bitcoin Did interview. So let's roll this clip before we get into it.
You said 2025 was sort of a bad year, a disappointing year for Bitcoin. That's how you started. You're like,
so that started the conversation, but he didn't blow up at me at that point.
No, I know. Yeah. But it automatically kind of put this like negative tone where it's like 2025 was a pretty bad year for, I think you said called it a disappointing year for Bitcoin.
I think I said Bitcoin price.
I don't think you said price. I think you just said
maybe not.
Anyway, but so he's like, whoa, it was anything but disappointing. He went on this rant. Like, we made a new all-time high in Q4.
Yeah.
And so then it kind of threw him on his heels. But it seemed like I ran it through AI to figure it out. And it seemed like the crux of the matter, the argument back and forth with you guys was, if a company drops below 1 times MNAV, how does it recover?
It was kind of that. So I think
you were trying to get him to answer that and he wouldn't answer it.
That was actually a little later. I think I've not listened back, but I think the first question that set him off was me basically saying, how many treasury companies can the market sustain? Because I like, if you look at it right now, it doesn't seem like it can sustain 200 companies. Like almost all of them are trading below 1x MNAV. And it was really like, who do you think, like how many people are going to be like real winners out of this? You got a bit offended by that question.
He's so smart. You know, I mean, I've been to his house multiple times. I've had dinner with him 3 or 4 times. We're not friends. You know how like he's very difficult to talk to because his mind is like here, right? Mm-hmm. But I think maybe he's so smart and analytical that maybe you guys were like talking past each other.
Yeah.
I could give you a layman's version as to why there could be 10,000 of them.
Mm-hmm. But
if you'd like.
it was basically the thing I was most shocked about is that it was that question that set him off on me. And I've had a few people being like, he wasn't shouting at you. It was more of like a broader audience that is like skeptical on treasury companies. I don't know. I took it like he was shouting at me during the interview.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I had far harder questions I wanted to ask him. But I was like, well, if that's caused a blow up, maybe, I kind of wish I'd asked harder questions.
You guys are muted.
What'd you think?
So I'm Team Saylor on this. I think it's really hard to build in Bitcoin, and you can have a conversation about like he's not, you know, some people think like, well, he's not really building in Bitcoin, he's building in Wall Street, whatever. But if you really like narrow down the list of people that are building in Bitcoin and trying to increase access and adoption, whether that is through Wall Street or Main Street, it's still a really short list, especially in the United States. And I think Danny triggered Saylor's autism, and that he is just, it's like the next deep sigh moment. You know, you have that famous clip of him like, and he's like, oh, here we go again. But instead of like, I think it's a similar moment, and that he is probably really sick of the criticism and the endless exhaustive, like, and I say this because I kind of identify with this. Like, I am so sick of people who are not doing anything. That's not to say Danny's not doing anything, but like, I think if I could summarize Saylor's response, it was kind of like go build something. Like stop with the criticism. Stop. Like, Bitcoin has so much attack from outside, from Wall Street, from banks, from governments. Like, there are so many people coming at us, especially if you're trying to build and deal with regulation and all of that. It is endlessly exhausting. And I think that Saylor was maybe just a little bit frustrated. Like, yo, we're supposed to be on the same team. Like, let's look at this from a positive way. I think he really believes that he is having a positive impact on like the future of humanity, and that that's his goal, and that he believes that. And so it's just sort of like, come on, man. Like, I'm so sick of defending myself and my products and my efforts and all of these things. Like, why is it coming from you too? is where I think Saylor was coming from. And if that's accurate, then I totally agree. Like, I don't know, we need to support each other. And that's not to say that we shouldn't have debate and questions and things like that. But I think Danny just sort of like triggered something and it set Saylor off. And in my opinion, that's kind of where it was coming from.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I think, though, I don't think it was anything that Danny said. I think if I had to speculate, that Michael Saylor came in there with that agenda.
Sure.
To use Danny as the foil for everything you just said.
Right.
And I don't think it was personal.
No, not at all.
There were some times where maybe if I could see how Danny took it personally.
Sure.
Because he was in the conversation and Michael's addressing him by name.
Right.
But I think it goes to some. I think Danny has had shows that have been sort of taking objectively took a positive and negative view of MSTR.
Mm-hmm.
He did recently this summer have a show called MSTR a Ponzi?
Oh, I don't think I saw that.
With
All
Lynn
right.
Alden. So I think, but a month ago we did have Fang on, the CEO of Strategy. So he's done both.
Right.
But I think so. I was like, you're going to come into my house.
Sure.
Like,
Right.
run shows calling me a Ponzi, and I'm tired of taking the friendly fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't think of just in general, and this is not about Michael Saylor and Strategy, but I don't know if it is. To me, I think nothing is beyond approach or in the Bitcoin scene. And I don't care if there's friendly fire.
Right.
In a way. I shouldn't say that. I mean, that sounds caustic, but
I mean, I don't disagree with you because, like, I would say, like, I completely agree. There should be, nothing is off the table. Nothing cannot be questioned. But at the same time, we're human, right? No matter how autistic we might be, we are human. And it is exhausting dealing with the backlash and the pushback and the regulation and the negativity and the, sometimes you just want to be like what the fuck are you doing? And I agree completely that it wasn't personal to Danny. I think really Danny was sort of collateral damage.
Yeah, I think Mark makes a very interesting point there because I could see, I'm just mulling it over, and I never try to bring a guest on the show to kind of ask them the tough questions. Like, I mean, meaning like to be like, I know they disagree or I know they don't feel this way, and make them, unless they want to sort of address that.
Yeah, maybe it's a different thing if you have like a pre-production conversation. You say, I'm going to like line
do we
fire.
Want to present this to the audience?
Yeah.
Do you want the opportunity to kind of to kind of address this? But I think maybe looking back on it, so I was like, I have addressed this on CNBC a lot.
Yes.
Why do this in public in front of our people
in his own home, like you said?
Yeah, and there's a different way to maybe go back. It's very interesting. I don't know.
It is. It's interesting. I love a Saylor deep sigh, and I think we kind of got another one of those.
It gets so meta though when the next guest is asking Danny about the last guest and the controversy. It's kind of interesting. A little high school, but all right. Let's move on to the next topic here. U.S. freezes visa processing for 75 countries. What do you think of this, Michelle?
What do you think of this? I'll tell you what I think.
I'm dying to know what you think. I mean, this just seems par for the course. I don't know what else to think. I mean, of course, this strengthens the case for Bitcoin. I don't know if people are paying attention. I mean, we went through the Canadian truckers.
Right.
And there was, and that was a very, I thought, worthy cause, obviously. And they were putting through unjust persecution and their lives were at stake. And I don't think people cared enough.
No, I agree completely. That was one of the things that like really drove me much more deeply into Bitcoin. I agree with you. Like, of course, it strengthens the case for Bitcoin, but I do agree with it. And this may be hot take. I don't know if people are going to be angry, but like, I believe in borders. I believe that we should have borders, and like, I'm okay with this. I don't understand. Like, we can't just open the country to an influx of.
So maybe tell me more about what happened. They won't let certain countries use Visa now. Is that kind of like, then they won't let them on the fiat rails for credit?
Well, they're not issuing visas, so you can't you need a visa to come, whether you're visiting or coming to reside. I believe
I completely misread this topic. I'm thinking Visa, the processing company. So this is the Visa, the credit card.
No, this is Visa's entry to enter the country.
Okay, so then wow.
So it's a pretty big crackdown.
I'm trying to think, does this strengthen the case for borderless money like Bitcoin? Will people be crossing less borders because they can't come?
That's an interesting question.
I mean, they're still stuck on their own rails. This is
But borderless money requires borders, right? So like it's not anti-Bitcoin to believe in borders.
right. If anything, that you want now people have to sneak across the border, and it enforces the case for Bitcoin because they're trying to go across the border undetected in various ways. And yeah, I don't know. All right, I think we should move on to the next
can move
one.
on, yeah.
Play this clip. This one's good.
If you said to me when I was a kid, listen, the Danish government is going to be preparing for a military invasion by the United States of their sovereign territory, and their prime minister is going to be telling their army officers, shoot to kill in the event of an invasion. We're going to treat this like it's a Nazi invasion, or you pick a bad guy invasion entering. And if you had said to me that there was going to be a government in the United States that would say that a member of NATO, that they wanted to take their territory and that every option was on the table, including a military option to take their territory, I would have said, okay, that's certainly not going to happen in my lifetime. We have a predictable democracy, a rules-based society, and the United States, whether you like the United States or dislike the United States, there's more evidence than not that it's been roughly trying to do the right thing since the end of the Second World War. Are we imperfect? Yes. Is there racism, tribalism, host of issues, all the issues you expect for human beings to have? Yes. But are we searching as an aspirational country to try to be a better country? I think we are. But I don't think this speaks well of the United States, if I'm being...
It's wild.
I thought it was sobering.
Yeah.
Started very lucid there. And, I think I've really soured on anything that I think the Trump regime has done over the last 5 or 6 months, with just even process.
With all the interventionism.
None of this seemed to be on the table.
Yeah.
Or a lot of this didn't seem to be on the table during the election. And I get things come up and things change, but it seems very and I'm trying to look at it from objective and not having a dog in the fight per se. But obviously, issue by issue, I can kind of say I like this one to go that way, and but it just seems like some of the things, I don't know. I just think that
it's kind of, I think a lot of people who did really support Trump, and I was one of them, feel that it's a betrayal of the America First movement.
Like this.
Yeah,
So even if you weren't for
way.
Trump, it looks like a betrayal against people who were. For sure.
Yes.
And I think it's a lot of ammo for the people who were anti-Trump before and wanted the other candidate to win.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to then understand, okay, what is the objective in terms of the politics? Is Trump trying to get are they trying to win the midterms? On one hand, I'm like, oh, maybe Trump works for the bad guys and he's getting all the dirty work done.
Right.
Because they don't care about the midterms.
And
etc. Or does he really want to win so he doesn't have a lame duck, third and fourth year? And so you would think, okay, he'd be doing things that make people like him more domestically and internationally. And you would think that they would want the economy to sort of rev up.
Well, we kind of talked about how they think the economy is revving,
They keep saying that, I guess.
Right.
I don't feel that.
I think, in my opinion, Trump's biggest downfall, or his biggest blind spot, is that he trusts too many people and he still has too much trust in the old systems. And I think people have gotten around him and kind of pulled him back to this deep state globalist agenda. Maybe it's not globalist, but like the rhino, the interventionalist warmongers. I think they've got their talons in him, and that he has been kind of pushed back to this Trump 1.0 version instead of the Trump 2.0 that we voted for.
Do you think Trump actually gets to make the calls on Maduro mouthing off on Cuba? Right. So if he's not making the calls on these things,
right,
then it seems like there's a lot of theater to how all this gets moved along. Something I've really been pondering, trying to just how orderly it seems to me that AI is being rolled out.
So do you believe there is a theory out there that looks at like Vance and his connection to Palantir and sort of this theory that it's all a show and that Trump is like kind of knowingly shepherding in this dystopian AI surveillance state? Do you
Yes.
feel that way?
Yes. I think we saw in the last year 10 times more surveillance state development than we ever would have saw under any other regime. And the reason I say that is I think the regimes are used, the fake dichotomy between the two parties are done for that on purpose. So maybe during the Biden administration, maybe there were 10 times as many immigrants that came over the border than during another regime. And so it's like, we're going to create the problem 10x on this side, offer you the solution on the other side, but then that side's going to come in and give a solution that creates a different 10x problem that we wouldn't have been able to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you make
like
a
Trump
compelling
got tax
case.
cuts for the rich during his first term that Hillary wouldn't have gotten if she was president.
Right.
Trump was able to push the COVID vaccines and the lockdowns in a way I don't think the right would have accepted from Hillary or from Kamala. I think the border issue was prevalent during the Biden administration.
This is a black
so it's
pilling
like back and forth
night to night,
and
Cedric.
So, like, I mean, if you look at this Maduro, right? Like, you could look at maybe the Bush family and the CIA has been involved in drug running in Venezuela since before Chavez.
Absolutely.
And we set up the banking system there. And
I really, I have to believe that Trump had good intentions and that he like intended to fight the deep state. And I think Trump takes incremental wins. I think maybe there's negotiating going on. Like, you know, the intel agencies come to him and say, we are doing this. And so maybe he will ask for that in return. And he believes that there's like a net good. But it is a betrayal of the base. It is a lot of like bad, worse and worser. And it just all needs to be like burned down. And
what I also mean by with the AI, and if you look back at sort of the internet, there was never this WTF moment for the government or anybody to be like, we're hoping it goes this way, and holy shit, AI, we didn't see this coming, and there's these, everything seems to go in a way that they would want. As
the
if
cards always fall in their favor.
As if the deck is not random.
Yeah.
And they're just playing card after card.
Right.
And, you know, there's some sort of, I think, kayfabe along the way to kind of, and I think there's jockeying for position within the system.
Right.
But nothing seems to go not as planned.
Well, I mean, that's hard to argue. But the AI thing, what's interesting to me, and I think this is maybe an argument for what you're saying, which I'm not sure I agree completely or not, but we know that AI, you know, every week now we're seeing all of these like new capabilities unfold. And to me, that's a bit of a show because we know that the government and the agencies have had AI technology for a very long time. And so the question becomes like, well, why now? Why did the peasants get it now?
So, and one of the markers I could put, so I got dragged into the Marvel universe. My son loves this stuff. I never wanted to entertain pop culture and where cinema's gone, but I'm watching the thing. And we watched this one movie, I think it was Iron Man, and it's the Age of Ultron, and they go up against the AI.
Okay.
And the AI is unleashed.
This is a recent...
No, this is like 2012 or 2014. That's what also made this weird.
Okay. Predictive programming.
It's all right. So they know exactly where it's going. This movie goes further than we are now, but it's rolling out exactly as you would see it in a Hollywood film.
Right.
But in the beginning, well, this movie, though, it does get out of control, which I'm not saying will happen in our world.
I think it'll happen.
But they're showing you exactly how it's going to get developed. If it doesn't, well, they're showing you both. But I feel like we're on the track where it doesn't get out of control. And there's never that moment where I think if it gets out of control, it's not going to be out of their control. They might present you a situation where it's out of our control, but I don't think there's going to be this. And that's my proof that if they can control it, then it's not really the real, like,
we don't have the full truth of what's going on.
Right, but they're on. That's why they're able to manage it so well, because they're only unrolling a limited amount, and they're hundreds of years ahead of how far it can be.
Yeah,
and it just goes as planned.
Right,
because they have it managed so well.
They're
like holding it back in a way, like it never even gets out too early.
Right,
and
there's no like leaks. There's no catastrophes.
Right.
There've been a couple little things that have gone wrong,
no
but not
existential
really.
moments. And I'm talking about across many, many fields now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But AI just being the latest that we see. I don't know. All right, let's maybe get on to the next topic there.
We got to find a positive note this afternoon.
I don't know. We'll try. We are in the prepper's shed here. Let's go on to the technical setup. Do you think 26 will be the year many assume 2025 will be?
I don't know if it's this year, but I do think Bitcoin is due for a parabolic run. And whether it's this year or next year or a few more years from now, it's going to be epic, and I can't wait. What about you? Do you think we're going to get a parabolic run, or that it's just slow and steady, slowly up?
Well, this to me feels another thing that's very managed.
Really?
I would never have imagined this price point in any scenarios that I ran. And that doesn't mean that I tried to run scenarios that are not all positive.
Sure.
If anything, I had more, if we were going to be not again at all-time high or below 100,000, I had much more negative scenarios that high. In my mind, I was attributing more weight, almost more negative, much more negative scenarios. I didn't have the in-between.
Right. So do you think it's price manipulation or control or suppression?
So mind you, my gut is probably wrong.
That's all
but
right.
I think, it just feels manipulated. It doesn't feel real to me. It feels held back. But maybe that's my naivety. Maybe I had wrong assumptions. I mean, I still think that this is not me crying and spilled milk. I still think this is amazing that Bitcoin's at this price point. And so in some ways, I feel like 2026 is literally like, I feel like they've sped up the timeline, whoever manages the matrix. And 2026 feels like we're just going to repeat 2025 in every way possible. But I don't think we'll get just like everyone expected big things for Bitcoin price in 2025. I, again, expect that.
Yeah.
But what we all expect will not happen. So I don't know how we won't get what we expect.
Right.
But of course, I look at this year like, how could you not be more bullish?
Yeah.
It's exactly like last year, but 10 times more development and real good news and infrastructure has been built.
Sure.
So how can I not be more bullish?
Do they call that technicals, like strong technicals? People say
everything you could point to. We're going into what looks like could be a more a better macro environment.
Yeah.
The technicals and fundamentals behind Bitcoin look better. Adoption looks better. There's less, I think, liquid coins. But all this can change, and sentiment can change, and so. Well,
it never does what we think it's going to do. That's for sure. So I don't know if it happens this year, but.
So I have to train myself. I want to think it's not going to do anything.
Because then it will.
Then I have a chance. Maybe it'll do something.
Yeah.
So I'm trying not to have expectations.
Yeah. I mean, I have a very long-term time horizon. So we might have another slow, boring year. I mean, it's funny if you go back a few years and tell us we would be bored around 90,000. But here we are. But I do think inevitably there will be an epic parabolic run. And in many ways, I think the longer it takes, the better, because it gives people more time to accumulate.
I agree. So we should be more excited. You had the free year, the bonus year to acquire more Bitcoin than you probably ever. Any of the scenarios that I was running through my head, I would have had less opportunity.
Yes.
Except maybe in the more drastically negative ones, which I did not ascribe a large probability to. So I don't know. It seems,
the hardest thing for people to do is to do nothing, right? Like we want some kind of action, but that's not always the best scenario. So it's a conflicting desire.
Sure, I agree. All right, I think we have a couple of bonus tweets to get into here. Please hit like and subscribe if you're enjoying the show. This is BitcoinCenter, brought to you by Byte Federal.
Go bank yourself.
Fuck yeah. All right, so
see what we've got.
Let me see if I can pull up these tweets here.
Bitcoin Twitter is not dead yet.
The first one, this one is from Health Ranger, and he says, InfoWars is now reporting that insider sources say Trump will declare the Insurrection Act next week.
I saw that.
This is right on schedule. Trump will declare it. The radical left will amp up their uprising. ICE will be told to start shooting people, even more, who resist. This will, by design, result in a domestic civil war situation brewing hot across 20-plus U.S. cities by the summer months, at which point Trump will deploy the U.S. military to oversee the midterm elections, citing safety concerns for the public. This will stop the Democrats from cheating, and if this takes place as I expect, the Dems will do horribly in the election since they can only win by cheating. The cost of this operation, blood in the streets of America, civil revolt, and if Trump doesn't arrest the blue city mayors and blue state governors who pushed the revolt, then everything just reverts back to Democrat control a few years later, and the entire Trump family goes to prison. So what you're really seeing here, my analysis, not my endorsement, and again, this is Health Ranger, is a final tribal war for control over America where Democrats want a giant money laundering machine and a censorship regime that destroys the Bill of Rights, and Trump wants a big tech, big pharma regime that surveils the American people, achieves depopulation through jabs and toxic medications, and keeps everybody in line with federal agents on the streets demanding, show me your papers. The tyranny continues. The tyranny will continue until the dollar collapses, no matter who sits in the White House. This nation is now under tribal control more than ever, and the tribes are warring like two Godzilla monsters, wrecking the cities and stomping all over the people. Try to steer clear as the battle rages.
Well, we just got even more doomer, didn't we?
Well, I mean, what do you think?
I think, you know what? This might be a hot take, but I wish that would happen. I think that Trump is not ruthless enough. Like the left is ruthless when they're in power, and then the right gets in power. And I know you talk a lot about thinking it's by design and it's for show. And I think that this kind of makes the case to support that like maybe it is all for show, because if the other side, if the right was anywhere near as ruthless as the left claims that they are, we wouldn't have any of these problems. It would just be like, we're deporting all these people, you're resisting ICE, you're going to jail. It would be a lot more. I mean, maybe it's tyrannical. I don't know. I think it's not that insane to think people should just follow the laws that we have. And
well, yeah, that's where I think we slightly differ. I think if the left, it's like saying if like my enemy didn't have a left arm, all this would go away. And it's like your enemy's like, I'll just try swinging with my right only. So I think like they're two arms of the same body, the left and the right.
Yeah, the left. And it's just
so they both want to mess you up.
Yeah.
And one's like, I'll do it this way. And the other one's like, I'll do it that way. And it's kind of like, I see it as if, someone in your neighborhood, their wife gets murdered by their enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And that person comes to you and says, look, they killed my wife. Like, this is horrible. We should take up arms and go kill them.
Right.
And he doesn't tell you that he killed that guy's wife last week.
Yeah.
And both guys have a legitimate gripe with each other, and they're both gangsters.
Yeah.
And I'm not, that's the part I get. Like, I want to just try to steer clear as the battle rages.
I'm glad to live in Florida.
But this could come to Florida. Any of these things, any of these issues that they use to divide and conquer us.
Right. See, yeah.
So I don't know. I think we get through all this.
We will get through all of this.
But I think though, I worry about how many people will actually be free at the end of all this, though.
It's not going to be a lot of them.
That's a sliding scale, right? So
Absolutely.
I'm hoping 100% of people that Bitcoin, like say, frees humanity. And I think that might be a very naive take, the way the internet hasn't freed humanity. It's done a lot for some.
A lot of people want to be enslaved.
A lot of people want to be enslaved or don't know they're enslaved. And that can be used against them at the same time. And so, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I got one more here. How many of you are aware prediction markets were a former DARPA project like Facebook?
Oh shit, I didn't know that.
Per the CIA website, in 2001, the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, DARPA, started experimenting with methods for applying DARPA's future markets applied to prediction. Future Map program tested whether prediction markets in which people bet on the likelihood of future events, could be used to improve upon existing approaches to preparing strategic intelligence. The program was canceled in the summer of 2003 under a barrage of congressional criticism.
But was it?
What do you mean? No, probably not. No, this is Polymarket.
That's what I mean.
And this is when I think it's weird. Like when breaking Iranian regimes, this is Polymarket tweeting out, Iranian regime security forces have lost nearly all control of Iran's capital city, Tehran, second largest city and the fifth largest city. Like, how does Polymarket know this?
Right.
Why are they disseminating? Like, who is clearing that? It seems like almost like a modern, like somehow like a new incarnation of like WikiLeaks or
it's the
somewhere where
simulation, like showing you its structure,
but also getting people to report on themselves.
Yeah,
and to tell this decentralized thing how they feel and what they think is going to happen.
Unless it's all controlled, and Polymarket is like informing the masses and driving them like
right.
If you
pushing.
Don't, yeah, like
right.
if they want everybody to believe X.
Right.
You know, they'll put X up against Y and then pretend like so many people believe it. And then everyone else starts to say like, oh, that must be the case. Or maybe that is the case. I think it's highly likely.
Like, do you remember? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no.
But you know about Reddit and
oh, yes.
Maxwell.
Yeah. And isn't there like, it's like 3 main moderators for like the whole thing. People think it's thousands of people, right, but it's
Ghislaine. I don't know how to say it.
Ghislaine, yeah.
I don't think it's just it's Ghislaine. I think Maxwell. I think she was the #1 moderator for like 12 years.
That massive, like the largest channel on Reddit, right, or subreddit or whatever.
More than one, I think.
Yeah,
but maybe just a few. But I mean, the amount of work just to manage a channel. This woman also could fly helicopters and submarines. Is amazing. But it just seems to go really deep.
Yeah,
and if you're up against something that deep,
you'd
have to they have more resources to outgame us.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh
man.
All right, those are my scary tweets for the week.
But we have Bitcoin and we have chickens.
Yeah, steer clear of the battle. Go bank yourself. Go to your Bitcoin, buy Federal ATM, buy Bitcoin, move it to self-custody, and bank yourself.
That's right.
Hit like and subscribe if you're enjoying the show. I got the sun in my face. This is got a little warmer here in Florida. So thank you for tuning in. We're every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. We got Mel saying, yeah, it's not good. Prediction markets are a bad idea. Nobody should be wasting their money on that. Not to mention, I do not ever trust it would be fair. But they're on my X feed. What's up, Mel? It's good to see you this weekend. Hope to see you soon. Good luck with BitBlock Boom. Tell us a little bit more about Byte Federal.
Yeah, Byte Federal is really believes in freedom, and we are doing everything we can to keep freedom alive. It is not an easy feat in the communist United States of America, but we are trying, and I hope to bring you all more and more products that allow you to be free and bank yourself and stay as off-grid as you want to be.
And maybe next week we'll be doing this live from Greenland.
Greenland,
we'll go on tour. We'll like the 51st day of Greenland, and then Cuba, and Canada's in the mix now. I'm gonna take them all over. I mean, do you really think any of this is gonna happen? Where
I don't know, man, because I instinctually just immediately my gut says no, but I will never say it could never happen. Not after COVID.
Yeah, never say never. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you guys next week.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.